Hey guys, for today's video, I'm going to do a reaction, kind of my personal thoughts on episode 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for ABC. Um, so, in this second episode, you guys, I'm going to try to keep it as there's going to be a few minor spoilers. I'll let you know when that happens. Um, in fact, what I'll even do is if for those who do want to watch this and didn't watch this episode or didn't even watch the first episode, I'm going to be doing this. So if you want to skip past the video, look for this, and that's a sign that the spoilers are going to be over with. So I'm going to try to do that when the spoilers done with. So because it's there's something I want to talk about that is very much a spoiler. So I want to talk about that. Like I said, look for this if you want to skip past the spoiler. So as far as the plot goes, you guys, for the second episode, um, basically the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Coulson, Melinda May, who was the Asian actress, all the agents we saw throughout the pilot episode, the new recruits, they go to, I believe it's Peru somewhere. And what they do is they're recruiting this object that has a similar power source to the Tesseract from the Avengers movie, and they retrieve it before it does something harmful to this area. Um, it's some people think it might be from Asgard, and but they know it's powerful and it has a power source similar to the Tesseract from the Avengers. But while that happens, Clark Gregg, while recruiting this object with his agents, meets up with a military figure who he worked with in the past. It was this woman that I guess did some missions with Agent Coulson a while ago, and basically she helps them get this tesseract like object to a safe place. So she boards the plane with them. They fly off to wherever they're going to put this object, and things go haywire, things go bad. For those who've seen Iron Man 3, this plane sequence, this big action scene that takes place on this plane is very much going to remind you of a certain scene from Iron Man 3. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So basically, this episode was more so about protecting this object, making sure it gets to the right place, while the pilot episode was more so about this guy with the power, and they had to make sure that he wasn't doing anything harmful with his superpower. So this was more so a protect the object, recruit the object kind of an episode. So as far as positives and negatives go, like I said, look for this for those who want to skip past the spoiler. Here's the spoiler, so watch out. I loved the cameo by Samuel L. Jackson at the end of this episode. He reprised his Nick Fury character in a cameo. Basically, he shows up by the end of the episode. The plane is all it's ruined, and it's a property of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Agent Coulson doesn't have the money to pay for all these bad things and all this wreck that happened to the plane. So basically, Samuel L. Jackson goes on a rant similar to Snakes on a Plane, but obviously more TV appropriate for this show since it's a TV PG show. Basically he yells at Agent Coulson for wrecking this plane, and it was pretty fun. It was great to see him back as Nick Fury for this. But so yeah, he had a cameo in this episode, and it was a lot of fun. I had a huge smile on my face when he entered the screen. A lot of fun to watch on TV. So there's a spoiler. Hopefully, I have all you guys back for who don't want to hear the spoiler. So now the rest is going to be spoiler free. So I liked the relaxed pacing of this episode. I thought I had a much more relaxed pace than episode one. With this episode, um, I felt like there was more, not as much pressure on the people making the episode. With episode one, it's like, okay, but we got to cover this, we got to cover the origin, we got to cover this character, we got to cover the centipede, we got to cover this, we got to cover this. But this one, I felt like there was more pressure was off. Like they just had to tell another episode, and I liked that relaxed feeling. I like how they decided, this is an object recruit episode. Something bad's going to happen to these characters. They have to get out of it by the time the episode's done. I liked that feeling of and that structure of this episode more so than with the pilot episode. So I liked that relaxed pacing that this episode had. Um, I liked that the action scenes felt more Shield appropriate. They felt more appropriate to these characters. I felt with the pilot episode, it felt like they were trying to do superhero action scenes, like things you would see like Iron Man and Thor and Captain America do, but with the Shield agents. And I like how with this one it's more so okay. Well, Shield agents, they would be more fist to fist combat. Weapons that are around them. Like wine bottles and guns if they have them. And so I liked how it had that feeling of these are Shield agents fighting enemies. It's not superheroes fighting enemies. So I like how this episode was more so about understanding that these are Shield agents more so than superheroes. I like that approach. I like the with this object that they were recruiting. I liked the whole Asgard Tesseract story elements in this. I like how that's touching upon the Avengers and Thor both at the same time, and even possibly Captain America a little bit there too. So I like how there was story elements dealing with the Tesseract and with Asgard. I thought that was very neat. Um, I liked how the agents had more character development in this. So the agents that I really enjoyed watching in the first episode were even more developed here. There was Melinda May and those younger kids who are new to the Shield agency. They were more developed. There's one that I had a problem with, but I'm going to get to her in the negatives here. But yeah, I liked how there was more character development to these characters. So I liked how, in the direction of the show, at least from what I'm getting, these characters will be more and more developed as the series goes on. And I really hope that whatever other TV directors, since Josh Whedon did direct this episode, is going to keep that consistency. I loved the Iron Man 3, Avenger, and Thor references in this. There was a lot of scenes where, if you're really looking closely, you can definitely tell this episode was referencing all three of those movies. So I really like that feeling. I also like how Melinda May had a kind of a Black Widow feeling in this episode. She's definitely the Black Widow of this bunch, at least for the show. Has the same outfit, fights in a similar way as Black Widow did in Avengers and with Iron Man 2. So I like how she, like I said, she's kind of the Black Widow of the group, and I like that feeling to her. I also like how, Black Widow's very young in the Avengers, and she's kind of the older one of the bunch, so she's kind of in reverse with this group, and I like that feeling too. For negatives, I didn't like that they didn't touch upon the Centipede character at all from the first episode. Would have liked to have seen more things done with him. I know Centipede's a part of the Marvel Universe, very minor, in a very minor part, but he's still a Marvel character in the universe, and I think it would have been interesting if they built upon his character more. Who knows, they might be doing that for future episodes, but I didn't like how they completely ignored it for this episode. I would have liked to see more build upon with that character, because I really think it would be an interesting way to put a minor character from the Marvel Universe and then kind of give him the spotlight he deserves for once. No Josh Whedon for this episode. He didn't direct this episode. He's an executive producer for it only. His brother Jed Whedon, I guess, was one of the screenwriters for this episode. So, he's there in spirit, I guess, but he did not direct this episode. And there was some scenes like, okay, Josh Whedon was not a part of that. And there was some scenes like, okay, that seems a little cheap. That seems like it's done on a set somewhere. So maybe that's the whole non-Josh Whedon effect of those scenes. So no Josh Whedon, unfortunately, in this episode. Um, and then I wrote her name down since there's so many female agents in the show. Agent Gemma Simmons got really annoying to me. She was the one where she's dealing with the computers, and she's kind of the smarter one of the bunch. She's the one that programs those little small things that fly around whenever they gotta get something dangerous that Shield's trying to recruit. Just got really annoying to me after a while. Just like she's like, oh well, we got to do this, and oh we got to do this, and oh what's that over there? And it's just like, oh, go away. And it's just like I loved the Asian agent. And I love the other female young agent and the guy that follows Agent Coulson around. That very much is one of the more committed members of Shield and stuff. And she was just the one that just like I didn't care for her. She was just kind of annoying after a while. So if she's in future episodes, I hope they give her a very minor part because I thought she was a little bit annoying in this episode. So maybe the direction they're going with her character, I'm not too big on. So I like where Agents of Shield's going still. I'm not going to really put a rating on this just because it's a TV show and it's still developing. We got to see the whole thing. So maybe when the first season's done with all together, I'll give it a rating. But right now, I still like where it's going. I think it's going to be a fun show. I like where it's going right now, and I think I will say though, I think I like this episode a little better than the pilot episode. I think this episode, like I said, it's just more relaxed. I think the structure is a little bit more well planned. It was more Shield agent appropriate, I thought, and like I said, I loved that cameo appearance. I'll keep that as spoiler free as I can now. So I like that cameo appearance at the end of the episode. That was pretty cool too. So hope to see you guys next week for I'm hoping to talk about episode 3, where I'm going to give you my reaction to that episode as well.